Anyway, when we talk about prospecting, I really believe that it comes down to contacts. You know, what am I doing? When I'm prospecting, what I should be doing is I should be trying to add prospects. I should be trying to add people into my sphere of influence. And when you think about sphere of influence, the sphere of influence is bigger than just your small group of people that you know believe in you, and that if they know somebody who's interested in buying something, they're going to call you. That sphere of influence initially is a wide net of people that you're getting a chance to meet. And the way I define who should be on your sphere of influence is anybody that if you call somebody and say, hi, this is Andre from Roy Wheeler Realty Company, they know who Andre is because of they went to school with you, or you taught their child, or whatever the case may be. I'm kind of cast a net and bring as many people into my network that know that I'm in the real estate business. Going back to the original page when I talk about a bullseye people, the bullseye people are people right in the middle of that sphere of influence. Those people who you know just think the world of you and would do anything to help you grow your business. But when we talk about prospecting, we talk about it being about contact. You boil it down to one word. If somebody says, what is going to make a successful person in this business? It's about how many contacts do I have, and are they legitimate contacts? Are they people that are going to buy or sell something now or in the near future? And it doesn't have to always be about getting an appointment right away, because you're focused on adding people to your sphere of influence, staying in touch with those people, and ultimately having them refer business to you or doing business with you themselves. So if you look at the next handout for a minute, and I'll just talk about this, quickly. You can look at it, but this is just a reason why the sphere of influence is such a wonderful source for revenue and for building your business. When you look at this this outline, a mailing list of 200, it's set up with very, very, I think, conservative assumptions. People are going to move once every 10 years. One referral out of this group is going to be given to you every 2 years. Average sales price, $300,000. I've upgraded this because of what I've just given you in regards to statistics. A 1 in 4 conversion ratio. As you get tied in with these people and you do a good job for them, there's no reason why your conversion ratio shouldn't be 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. But I'm just for the sake of discussion, I've got it as 1 out of 4. You take the commissions earned given the above assumptions, and 200 divided by 10, as you get this thing set up and people start to move, that's 20 referrals a year. 200 divided by 2, meaning 1 referral given every 2 years, is 100 referrals a year. That can lead up to 120 total referrals per year. When you take those 120 referrals and you multiply that by 25%, the 1 in 4 conversion rate, you're talking about 30 sales a year that are now in your business plan. You multiply that by $9,000, which is 3% of $300,000, and equals $270,000. And even at an average commission rate, which you would be higher, given these dollars, that's $162,000 that falls to your bottom line as far as gross commission income. That's a pretty significant place to be and to work toward. And so when I talk about sphere of influence, when I talk about growing your sphere of influence, everybody you meet, having an opportunity to ask if you can get their information and add them to your list of however you're going to get in touch with them, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. That is about growing your sphere of influence. At some point, that sphere of influence is going to get big enough that it's too big, and there are people that you can't even remember how they got on there in the first place. Well, in that situation, you're going to go back and you're going to start deleting some of those people out so that you have a list of 200. And why 200? Well, 200 from my perspective is because at 200 you can mail very efficiently and for less dollars. That's the bulk rate mailing limit. You have to have at least 200 pieces of mail to get the best bulk rate postage expenses. So that's why I think about 200. As we'll talk in a little bit in regards to email and internet marketing and things like that, 200 is not really, it doesn't really have to be the number anymore. But the point being is, I do think there's some wonderful opportunities for mailing as well as using the email, and so that's why I come up with the 200. So what makes a successful mailing list? What's the purpose of my mailing? That should be consistent with other things I'm talking to you about all the time. What is it that I'm trying to do? Why am I holding this open house? What is the purpose of this mailing list? Why am I, working with this particular person? So what is the purpose of my mailing, and then how am I going to accomplish it? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Your mailing list must cause people to think of you and call you their realtor. Everybody has a doctor, everybody has an accountant, a mechanic, but most people don't say, when you say, who's your realtor, they don't really say, it's Susan Ruppert or it's Andre Yancey. They go, who was it that sold us this house? Because so many agents don't follow up and don't put themselves in a place to be the trusted resource as it relates to any sort of real estate matters. Your mailing's got to be consistent, creative, and it's got to have a call to action that regularly asks for referrals. Believe it or not, people give referrals not because you're good, but because you ask. I can tell you time and time again, and folks that you talk to who have been in the business for a while all have stories about being someplace and finding out that somebody just bought a house, or somebody just sold a house, or their son just bought a house, or the person just moved from here to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they didn't call you to get to have them help you. I mean, have you help them, because they just forget. And oh gosh, I should have called you. And you want to just wring their neck and say, yeah, you really should have just called me. But part of it is us, because we haven't been consistent, creative, and we haven't regularly asked for the business. Position yourself to be their realtor versus promoting yourself. Don't solicit, build relationships. Develop a closed system of referrals so as not to have competition. What that means is, if you know, you talk to somebody and you say to them, hey, if you were going to buy a house, or if you were going to sell a house, or if you knew somebody was going to buy a house or sell a house, would I be the realtor that you would call? Now, that's a tough question to ask, but go ahead and get it out there, because if they say no because my brother's in the business, or no because my best friend's in the business, or no because I bought and sold 7 houses with this realtor and they've already done a good job, then don't put them on your list, because there's not really an opportunity that you're going to have there. Now, you might still just mail them something intermittently, because maybe somebody will make a mistake and do something wrong, and so then they'll come to you. But you really shouldn't be putting people in there just hoping that they're going to call you. Be willing to ask that question at some point in the conversation. Hey, if you were going to buy or sell a house today or in the near future, would I be a realtor that you would call? And if they say yes, great. If they say maybe, great. If they say no, because then say, well, how come? And if, they're going to give you an answer, and most times the answer is one that says, okay, I'm not going to bother you with my stuff. A people farm is much more effective than a geographic farm. Nothing against geographic farms. But when you really are working with people that know you and trust you, you got a much better chance of having business come your way in a short term rather than a long term. And then a couple of hints. Make it simple. It should happen with little or no effort on your part. I'm going to show you a couple websites here in a minute. One is expressdocs.com, and the other one is varealtor.com. And then finally, always be looking for people to add to your referral base.